Hello, my dear beautiful souls. I want you to take just a moment right now to breathe with me. Let that breath fill your lungs completely, and as you release it, allow yourself to feel welcomed here, right where you are. You've arrived at this moment for a reason, and I want you to know that whatever brought you here today is perfect. Whether you're feeling lost, searching for answers, or simply curious about creating more joy in your life, you belong here with me. I know that life can feel overwhelming sometimes. The days seem to blur together, and we find ourselves going through the motions, wondering if there's something more, something deeper that we're missing. Perhaps you've been carrying burdens that feel too heavy, or you've been searching for that spark of magic that once made everything feel possible. Maybe you've tried countless approaches to feeling better, to creating the life you dream of, and you're wondering if real change is actually possible for someone like you. Let me tell you something from my heart to yours. You are not broken, and you don't need fixing. What you need is remembering. You need to remember the incredible power that lives within you, the same power that makes flowers bloom and hearts beat. This power has been with you all along, sometimes hidden beneath layers of old thinking patterns and beliefs that no longer serve your highest good. Today, I want to share with you something so beautifully simple, yet so profoundly transformative, that it might surprise you. In our world of complicated solutions and complex programs, we often overlook the most powerful tools available to us. We think that big changes require big efforts, that miracles must come through grand gestures or dramatic shifts. But what if I told you that the most extraordinary transformations often come through the gentlest, most consistent practices? You see, true healing and lasting change happen not in the dramatic moments, but in the quiet, tender spaces where we choose love over fear, hope over despair, and faith over doubt. These choices, made moment by moment, day by day, create the foundation for what we call miracles. And today, I'm going to share with you a practice so simple that you can do it anywhere, anytime, without anyone even knowing. Yet this practice has the power to completely transform your relationship with yourself and your entire experience of life. As we spend this time together, I want you to feel completely safe to be exactly where you are right now. There's no pressure to be anywhere else, to feel anything different, or to have it all figured out. We're simply going to explore together with curiosity and gentleness how you can invite more love, more joy, and yes, more miracles into your daily experience. The beautiful thing about what I'm going to share with you is that it requires nothing more than your willingness to be kind to yourself. No special equipment, no perfect conditions, no previous experience needed. Just you, exactly as you are, with an open heart and a willingness to try something new. Throughout our time together, I want you to listen not just with your mind, but with your heart. Notice what resonates with you, what feels true in your body, what brings a sense of lightness or hope. Your inner wisdom knows what you need, and it will guide you to receive exactly what serves your highest good. Trust that process, trust yourself, and most importantly, trust that you deserve all the love and miracles that life has to offer. Now let's talk about miracles. When we hear that word, our minds often jump to grand, supernatural events, the kind of things we see in movies or read about in books. We think of dramatic healings, sudden windfalls of money, or life-changing encounters that happen in an instant. While these beautiful events certainly exist, I want to expand your understanding of what a miracle really is, because when we open our eyes to the true nature of miracles, we begin to see them everywhere. A miracle is simply a shift in perception from fear to love. It's the moment when you choose a loving thought instead of a critical one, It's when you speak kindly to yourself instead of harshly. It's when you see beauty instead of lack, possibility instead of limitation, hope instead of despair. These shifts might seem small, but they create ripples that extend far beyond what we can see or imagine. Think about the miracle of your body right now. Your heart is beating without you having to think about it. Your lungs are breathing life into every cell. Your immune system is working tirelessly to keep you healthy. Your brain is processing thousands of pieces of information every second. These are miracles happening within you right at this very moment. The fact that you can hear these words, understand their meaning, and feel emotions in response is miraculous beyond measure. But we've become so accustomed to these everyday miracles that we barely notice them anymore. We focus instead on what's wrong, what's missing, what needs to be fixed or improved. We train our attention on problems rather than wonders, on lack rather than abundance, on fear rather than love. And then we wonder why miracles seem so rare in our lives. The truth is, miracles are our natural state. Love is our natural state. Joy, peace, and abundance are our birthright. But we've learned to think ourselves out of these experiences through years of conditioning that tells us we're not enough, that life is hard, that good things don't happen to people like us. We've practiced thoughts of limitation and lack so thoroughly that they feel more real than the unlimited love that is our true nature. This is where the magic of intentional practice comes in. Just as we've unconsciously practiced thoughts that create struggle and suffering, we can consciously practice thoughts that create ease and joy. We can train our minds to look for miracles instead of problems, to expect good things instead of dreading difficulties, to see ourselves as worthy of love instead of deserving of criticism. The practice I'm going to share with you works because it interrupts the unconscious patterns that keep us stuck in old ways of being. It's like creating a new groove in a record. At first, the needle wants to slip back into the old familiar grooves, but with consistent practice, the new groove becomes deeper and stronger until it becomes the natural path. Every single person who has ever lived has the capacity for miracles. This includes you, right here, right now. You don't need to be special or chosen or somehow different from who you are. You don't need to earn your worthiness or prove your value. You simply need to be willing to practice choosing love over fear again and again until it becomes as natural as breathing. The beautiful thing about small, consistent practices is that they create momentum. Like a snowball rolling down a hill, they start small but gather power and speed as they continue. What begins as a tiny shift in how you think about yourself can eventually transform your entire life experience. Relationships heal, opportunities appear, health improves, creativity flows, and joy becomes your natural state of being. This is why doing something 100 times a day is so powerful. It's not about perfection or getting it exactly right every time. It's about creating so many opportunities for love to enter your awareness that it becomes impossible for the old patterns of fear and self-criticism to maintain their grip on your life. Each time you choose love, you're essentially saying to the universe, "More of this, please." And the universe, which is always listening and always responding, says, "Yes, my dear one, more love it is." Your mind is the most powerful tool you possess, and like any tool, it works best when you learn to use it consciously and skillfully. For most of your life, your mind has been running on autopilot, recycling old thoughts, old beliefs, and old patterns without your conscious direction. These unconscious thought patterns are like programs running in the background of a computer. They influence everything, but we're barely aware they're there. The thoughts you think create the emotions you feel, and the emotions you feel influence the actions you take. Your actions then create the results you experience in your life. So if you want to change your results, you need to start at the beginning, with your thoughts. This is the beautiful simplicity of the mind-body connection. When you change your thinking, everything else begins to shift in response. Your body is incredibly intelligent, and it's always listening to the messages your thoughts are sending. When you think thoughts of stress, worry, or self-criticism, your body responds by creating tension, releasing stress hormones, and preparing for danger. When you think thoughts of love, appreciation, and peace, your body responds by relaxing, releasing healing chemicals, and creating an environment for regeneration and growth. This isn't just feel-good philosophy. This is measurable, observable science. Researchers have documented how positive thoughts strengthen your immune system, improve your cardiovascular health, increase your energy levels, and even slow the aging process. Your thoughts literally reshape your brain through a process called neuroplasticity, creating new neural pathways that support whatever you're consistently thinking about. But here's what's truly amazing. You get to choose what you think about. You might not be able to control every circumstance in your life, but you can absolutely choose how you respond to those circumstances in your mind. You can choose to look for the good instead of focusing on the problems. You can choose to speak to yourself with kindness instead of criticism. You can choose to trust that life is working for you instead of against you. Most people don't realize they have this choice because they've never been taught to observe their thoughts consciously. Thoughts just seem to happen automatically, like the weather. But the truth is, you can learn to become the loving director of your mental activity rather than its helpless victim. You can learn to choose thoughts that feel good, that serve your highest good, and that align with the life you want to create. This is where the practice of repetition becomes so valuable. When you consciously choose loving thoughts 100 times throughout your day, you're literally rewiring your brain for love instead of fear, for abundance instead of lack, for joy instead of struggle. Each loving thought is like doing a small workout for your happiness muscles. At first, it might feel awkward or forced, just like any new exercise. But with consistent practice, choosing love becomes stronger and more natural until it happens almost automatically. The beautiful thing about working with your thoughts is that you can start exactly where you are with whatever you're thinking right now. You don't need to wait for perfect conditions or until you feel better. You can begin this very moment to choose one slightly more loving thought than the one you were just thinking, and then another, and then another. Each small choice creates a foundation for the next one, building momentum toward a completely different way of experiencing life. Your unconscious mind, which controls most of your automatic behaviors and responses, learns through repetition. This is how you learn to walk, to talk, to ride a bicycle, and to perform countless other skills that now feel effortless. The same process that helped you master these physical skills can help you master the skill of thinking thoughts that create joy and miracles in your life. When you practice something 100 times a day, you're sending a very clear message to your unconscious mind about what's important to you. You're saying, "This is who I'm choosing to become. This is how I want to think and feel. This is the reality I want to create." Your unconscious mind, which is always working to help you achieve what it believes you want, begins to reorganize itself around this new information. This reorganization happens gradually and gently, like the way a garden grows. You plant seeds of loving thoughts, water them with consistent practice, and trust that in time they will bloom into beautiful changes in your life. You might not see dramatic shifts immediately, but if you pay attention, you'll begin to notice small improvements in how you feel, how you respond to challenges, and how others respond to you. The mind-body connection means that as your thoughts become more loving and positive, your body begins to feel lighter, more energized, and more at ease. As your body feels better, your emotions become more stable and joyful. As your emotions improve, your behavior naturally becomes more kind, confident, and authentic. As your behavior changes, your relationships improve and new opportunities begin to appear. This is how one simple practice can create miracles in every area of your life. You might be wondering why I specifically chose the number 100 for this practice. Why not 50 or 25 or even 10? There's something truly special about the number 100 that goes beyond mere mathematics. Throughout history, across cultures and spiritual traditions, certain numbers have been recognized as carrying particular power and significance. The number 100 represents completion, wholeness, and abundance. When we commit to doing something 100 times, we're making a statement to ourselves and to the universe about our dedication to transformation. Think about how we use this number in our everyday language. We talk about giving 100%, about feeling 100% better, about being 100% certain. When we say these things, we're expressing a sense of completeness and fullness. This isn't coincidental. Our language reflects deep truths about how energy and intention work in our lives. From a practical standpoint, 100 repetitions throughout a day creates enough frequency to interrupt old patterns while being gentle enough not to overwhelm your system. It's like the difference between trying to change the course of a river with one giant boulder versus guiding it gently with many small stones placed thoughtfully along its path. The gentle, consistent approach creates lasting change without the resistance that often comes with trying to force transformation. When you do something 100 times in a day, you're creating approximately one loving interaction with yourself every 10 minutes during your waking hours. This means that no matter what's happening in your external world, you have a built-in reminder to return to love, to return to your center, to return to the truth of who you really are. It's like having a loving friend with you all day long, gently whispering encouragement and support. The frequency of 100 times also works with your brain's natural learning patterns. Your mind needs repetition to create new neural pathways, but it also needs those repetitions to be spaced throughout time rather than crammed into one session. This distributed practice is far more effective than trying to do all 100 repetitions at once. It's the difference between taking small sips of water throughout the day to stay hydrated versus drinking a gallon all at once and then going thirsty for hours. There's also something beautiful about the way 100 repetitions create momentum in your life. The first 10 might feel strange or unfamiliar. The next 20 start to feel more natural. By the time you reach 50, you might notice small shifts in how you feel about yourself. By 75, others might start commenting on something different about your energy. And by the time you complete all 100 in a day, you've created a powerful wave of loving energy that ripples out into every area of your life. The number 100 also gives you plenty of opportunities to be gentle with yourself. If you miss a few, or forget for a while, or even have a day where you only manage 60 or 70, you're still creating significant positive change. This isn't about perfection, it's about progress, about consistency, about choosing love over and over again until it becomes your natural response to life. Now, my dear ones, it's time for me to share with you the practice that has the power to transform your entire experience of being alive. Are you ready? Take a deep breath with me, because what I'm about to tell you is so simple that your mind might initially resist it. Your mind has been trained to believe that solutions must be complicated to be effective, but the most powerful truths are often the simplest ones. The practice is this: 100 times throughout your day, you're going to look at yourself with love and say, I approve of myself. That's it. 3 simple words that carry the power to heal lifetimes of self-criticism and create miracles in your life. I approve of myself. I can almost hear some of you thinking, that's too simple. That can't possibly work. I have real problems that need real solutions. And I understand that response because I once felt the same way. But let me share something with you that might shift your perspective. The root of almost every problem we experience in life, whether it's relationship difficulties, money struggles, health challenges, or career frustrations, can be traced back to a fundamental lack of self-approval. When you don't approve of yourself, you unconsciously create situations that reflect that disapproval back to you. You might choose partners who treat you poorly because that treatment feels familiar and matches your internal dialogue. You might sabotage opportunities for success because deep down you don't believe you deserve good things. You might neglect your health because you don't feel worthy of care and attention. But when you begin to genuinely approve of yourself, everything starts to shift. You naturally start making choices that honor your worth. You gravitate toward people who treat you with respect and kindness. You begin to see opportunities that were always there, but that you couldn't perceive when you were focused on your perceived flaws and shortcomings. I approve of myself means accepting yourself exactly as you are right now, while still being open to growth and positive change. It means recognizing that your worth isn't dependent on your achievements, your appearance, your bank account, or anyone else's opinion of you. Your worth is inherent, given to you the moment you came into existence, and nothing you do or don't do can change that fundamental truth. This doesn't mean approving of behaviors that harm yourself or others. It means approving of your essential self, the loving, worthy being that exists beneath any temporary patterns or habits that no longer serve you. When you approve of yourself at this deep level, changing unhelpful behaviors becomes much easier because you're motivated by love rather than self-criticism. The phrase, I approve of myself, is particularly powerful because it's stated in the present tense. You're not saying, I will approve of myself when I lose weight or get a better job or find the right relationship. You're declaring your approval right here, right now, exactly as you are. This present tense declaration begins to reshape your reality immediately. You might find that at first, saying, I approve of myself feels uncomfortable or even untrue. This is completely normal and natural. You've likely been practicing self-criticism for years, maybe decades. Your mind has become very skilled at finding fault, pointing out flaws, and reminding you of past mistakes. The practice of self-approval is like learning a new language. It takes time and patience to become fluent. But here's what's beautiful about this practice. You don't have to believe it completely for it to work. You just have to be willing to say it and to remain open to the possibility that it might be true. Your unconscious mind doesn't distinguish between what you really believe and what you repeatedly tell it. It simply takes the information you give it most frequently and works to make that information true in your experience. Some days you might say, I approve of myself with conviction and joy. Other days, it might feel more like a hope or a prayer. Some repetitions might be whispered softly, while others might be declared boldly. All of these approaches are perfect. What matters is the consistency, the repetition, the gentle persistence of choosing self-approval over self-criticism. Now let's talk about how to weave this beautiful practice into the natural rhythm of your day. The wonderful thing about saying, I approve of myself, is that it can be done anywhere, at any time, without anyone knowing what you're doing. You can say it silently to yourself, whisper it softly, or even speak it aloud when you're alone. You can say it while looking in the mirror, while walking, while waiting in line, or while lying in bed. One of the most powerful times to practice self-approval is first thing in the morning before you even get out of bed. Your mind is still soft and receptive from sleep, making it an ideal time to plant seeds of love that will grow throughout your day. You might start with just 10 repetitions, gently saying, "I approve of myself," as you transition from sleep to waking. This creates a foundation of self-love that colors everything that follows. Throughout your morning routine, you can continue the practice. While brushing your teeth, looking in the bathroom mirror, you can make eye contact with yourself and silently repeat, "I approve of myself." While showering, you can let the warm water represent the flow of love washing over you as you continue your affirmations. While getting dressed, you can appreciate your body and thank it for all it does for you by repeating your phrase of self-approval. During your commute to work or while going about your daily activities, you have countless opportunities to return to your practice. Waiting at traffic lights, standing in elevators, walking from one place to another, all of these moments can become opportunities to choose love. You might find it helpful to use natural triggers like doorways, phone rings, or hourly chimes as reminders to return to self-approval. The beautiful thing about having 100 repetitions as your goal is that it takes the pressure off any single moment. If you forget for an hour or two, you simply return to the practice when you remember without judgment or criticism. You might do 15 repetitions in the morning, 20 throughout your workday, 25 in the evening, and 40 before bed. Or you might spread them more evenly throughout the day. There's no wrong way to do this. Many people find it helpful to use their hands as a gentle counting method. You might touch your thumb to each fingertip as you repeat, "I approve of myself," completing 5 repetitions with each hand, then starting over. This gives your body something to do while your mind focuses on the loving message. Others prefer to use a small notebook to make tally marks, turning the practice into a loving game with themselves. Meal times offer wonderful opportunities for self-approval. Before eating, you can take a moment to appreciate your body's wisdom in letting you know when it needs nourishment. You can thank yourself for taking care of your physical needs and repeat your affirmation with gratitude. This transforms eating from a mindless activity into a conscious act of self-love. If you work in an environment where you can't speak aloud, the practice becomes a beautiful internal meditation. You can repeat, "I approve of myself" silently while answering emails, attending meetings, or completing tasks. This creates an underlying current of self-love that flows beneath whatever you're doing, making even challenging situations more manageable. Evening time is particularly powerful for this practice because it allows you to end your day with love rather than criticism. Instead of reviewing everything you did wrong or didn't accomplish, you can acknowledge yourself for the effort you made to choose love throughout the day. You can appreciate yourself for being willing to try something new, for being open to growth, for caring enough about your well-being to invest in this practice. The key is to make the practice feel natural and sustainable rather than like another item on your to-do list. Start gently, perhaps with a goal of 50 repetitions for the first week, then gradually increase as the practice becomes more familiar. Listen to your intuition about when and how to practice. Some days you might feel drawn to say it more often, while other days you might need to be more gentle with yourself. Let's talk honestly about the challenges you might face as you begin this practice, because acknowledging these obstacles with compassion is part of loving yourself well. The first challenge many people encounter is doubt. Your logical mind might whisper things like, "This is silly," or "How can 3 simple words possibly change anything?" When this happens, I want you to remember that the most profound truths often appear deceptively simple. The fact that something is easy doesn't make it less powerful. In fact, it often makes it more accessible and sustainable. Another common challenge is feeling like you're lying to yourself, especially if you've spent years being your own harshest critic. When you say, "I approve of myself," and your inner voice immediately responds with, "No, you don't. Please be gentle with this resistance." This internal pushback isn't evidence that the practice isn't working. It's actually evidence that it is working. You're beginning to shine light into corners of your mind that have been dark for a long time, and sometimes the shadows seem darker just before they dissolve into light. If you find yourself feeling emotional when you practice self-approval, this too is completely natural. You might feel sadness for all the years you've been unkind to yourself, or anger at the voices that taught you to be self-critical, or even fear about what it might mean to truly love yourself. Allow these emotions to flow through you without resistance. Tears can be a beautiful form of release, washing away old patterns to make room for new ones. Forgetfulness is another challenge that almost everyone faces initially. You might start the day with great intentions, then suddenly realize at dinner time that you haven't thought about your practice for hours. When this happens, simply smile at yourself with the same kindness you'd show a child learning to walk, and gently return to your practice. There's no need for self-criticism or frustration. Every moment offers a fresh opportunity to choose love. Some people worry about becoming self-centered or narcissistic through practicing self-approval. Let me ease this concern by explaining that true self-love actually makes you more loving toward others, not less. When you stop constantly criticizing yourself, you naturally become less critical of others. When you treat yourself with kindness, you have more kindness to share. It's like filling your own cup first, so that you have something to pour out for others. You might also face resistance from people in your life who are accustomed to your self-criticism. Sometimes when we begin to change in positive ways, it makes others uncomfortable because it highlights their own resistance to growth. If someone comments negatively on your increased self-confidence or happiness, remember that their reaction says nothing about you and everything about their own relationship with self-love. There may be days when practicing self-approval feels particularly difficult, when you've made a mistake, when someone has criticized you, or when old patterns of thinking feel especially strong. These are actually the most important days to practice, not the easiest ones. It's like exercising your self-love muscles when they're tired. This is when the real strengthening happens. If you find yourself struggling with consistency, try linking your practice to activities you already do regularly. Every time you wash your hands, you could say, "I approve of myself" 3 times. Every time you open a door, you could repeat your affirmations silently. These simple connections help make the practice automatic rather than something you have to remember to do. Sometimes people worry about saying the same phrase too often, concerned it might lose its meaning. But think about how many times you've said "I love you" to people who matter to you. Has repetition made those words less meaningful? Of course not. Love grows stronger with expression, not weaker. Creating a supportive environment for your practice doesn't require any major changes to your life. It simply means becoming more conscious of the energy you surround yourself with. You might choose to limit exposure to negative news or social media if these things trigger self-criticism. You might place gentle reminders around your space, perhaps a small note on your bathroom mirror, or a beautiful stone in your pocket that you can touch when you want to remember your commitment to self-love. Consider the people you spend time with and how they influence your relationship with yourself. While you can't control how others behave, you can choose to spend more time with people who are supportive and encouraging, and less time with those who are consistently critical or negative. This isn't about judging others. It's about creating conditions that support your growth and well-being. Your physical environment can also support your practice. You might create a small space in your home that feels particularly peaceful, perhaps with flowers, candles, or meaningful objects, where you can sit quietly and practice your affirmations when you need extra support. This doesn't have to be elaborate. Even a single flower on your nightstand can serve as a beautiful reminder of your commitment to treating yourself with love. The practice of saying, "I approve of myself," naturally begins to influence other areas of your life in beautiful ways. You might find yourself choosing foods that nourish your body because you approve of yourself enough to want to feel good. You might start setting boundaries in relationships because you approve of yourself enough to protect your energy. You might pursue creative interests or career opportunities because you approve of yourself enough to believe you deserve fulfillment. As you integrate this practice into your daily routine, you might notice that decision-making becomes easier. When you fundamentally approve of yourself, choices align more naturally with what truly serves your well-being. You become less likely to say yes to things that deplete you and more likely to say yes to things that energize and inspire you. Your communication with others may also begin to shift. When you approve of yourself, you're less likely to seek validation from others and more likely to express your authentic thoughts and feelings. You might find yourself speaking up in situations where you previously would have remained silent, or setting boundaries where you previously would have allowed others to treat you poorly. The practice also tends to improve your relationship with time. When you're not constantly criticizing yourself for past mistakes or worrying about future failures, you become more present to the current moment. This presence allows you to enjoy life more fully and to respond to situations with greater clarity and wisdom. Many people discover that as they practice self-approval, their creativity begins to flourish. Self-criticism is one of the greatest blocks to creative expression because it makes us afraid to try new things or to share our unique gifts with the world. When you approve of yourself, you become more willing to experiment, to play, to explore possibilities without the fear of judgment. Your sleep may even improve as you practice self-approval throughout the day. Instead of lying in bed rehearsing your mistakes or worrying about tomorrow, you can use bedtime as an opportunity for gentle self-appreciation. You might review your day not to criticize what went wrong, but to acknowledge the moments when you chose love, when you were kind, when you tried your best. The miracles that flow from practicing self-approval often begin subtly and grow more apparent over time. You might first notice small internal shifts, a moment of peace instead of anxiety, a flash of confidence instead of self-doubt, a sense of okayness exactly as you are. These internal changes are actually the most important ones because they create the foundation for all external changes. Pay attention to shifts in your energy levels. Many people find that self-criticism is exhausting, while self-approval is energizing. You might notice that you feel less drained at the end of the day, or that you wake up feeling more optimistic about the day ahead. This increased energy naturally leads to greater productivity and more enjoyment in your daily activities. Watch for changes in how others respond to you. When you truly approve of yourself, it shows in your posture, your facial expressions, your tone of voice, and your overall presence. People are drawn to those who radiate self-acceptance because it's a rare and beautiful quality in our world. You might find that conversations become more pleasant, that people seek out your company more often, or that conflicts resolve more easily. Notice opportunities that begin to appear in your life. When you approve of yourself, you become more open to receiving good things because you believe you deserve them. You might notice job opportunities, creative collaborations, or social invitations that seem to come out of nowhere. These aren't coincidences, they're reflections of your changing internal landscape. Financial improvements often follow the practice of self-approval as well. When you believe you're worthy of abundance, you make different choices about money. You might find yourself asking for a raise, starting a side business, or simply managing your existing resources more wisely. Money flows more easily to those who feel deserving of it. Health improvements are also common as self-approval reduces stress and creates a more positive internal environment. You might notice better digestion, improved sleep, fewer headaches, or just a general sense of physical well-being. Your body responds beautifully to the message that you approve of it and appreciate all it does for you. Perhaps most importantly, watch for the miracle of increased self-trust. As you practice approving of yourself consistently, you begin to trust your own wisdom, your own instincts, your own ability to navigate life's challenges. This self-trust is one of the greatest gifts you can give yourself because it allows you to move through life with confidence and grace. Some miracles might appear dramatic and obvious, while others are quiet and subtle. The person who suddenly finds the courage to leave an unhappy relationship after years of feeling stuck. The individual who discovers a hidden talent and pursues it with joy. The family that begins communicating more openly because one member started treating themselves with greater kindness. All of these are miracles born from the simple practice of self-approval. Remember that miracles often come disguised as ordinary moments. The day you realize you haven't criticized yourself in hours. The moment you catch yourself in the mirror and smile instead of finding fault. The conversation where you speak your truth without fear. The evening when you fall asleep feeling grateful for who you are. These everyday miracles are just as precious as the dramatic ones, and often more lasting in their impact. As we come to the end of our time together, I want you to feel the excitement and possibility that this moment represents. You're standing at the threshold of a new relationship with yourself, one built on approval and love rather than criticism and judgment. This is truly a new beginning, regardless of how old you are or what you've experienced in the past. Starting this practice requires nothing more than your willingness to try. You don't need to believe it will work perfectly. You don't need to commit to doing it forever, and you don't need to wait for the perfect moment. You can begin right now, exactly where you are, with whatever level of self-approval feels authentic to you in this moment. Your first step might be saying, "I approve of myself," just once, perhaps silently, perhaps with a gentle smile. Feel how those words land in your body. Notice any resistance, any warmth, any curiosity that arises. All responses are perfect because they're yours, and you are learning to approve of yourself exactly as you are. Some of you might feel inspired to commit to the full practice of 100 repetitions starting today. Others might prefer to begin more gradually, perhaps with 25 or 50 repetitions as you build your self-approval muscles. Trust your own wisdom about what feels right for you. The goal isn't to do this perfectly. The goal is to do it lovingly. Remember that this practice is a gift you're giving yourself, not another burden to carry. If you miss a day, or forget for several hours, or find yourself being critical about your practice, simply return to love. Treat yourself with the same patience and encouragement you would offer a beloved friend who was learning something new. As you go forward, carry with you the knowledge that you are inherently worthy of love, approval, and all the miracles life has to offer. You don't need to earn these things. They are your birthright simply because you exist. Every time you say, "I approve of myself," you're claiming this birthright and opening your heart to receive the abundance that is always available to you. The practice you're beginning today has the power to heal old wounds, create new possibilities, and transform your entire experience of being alive. Trust the process, trust yourself, and most importantly, trust that you deserve all the love and miracles that are flowing toward you right now. Take a deep breath with me one more time. Feel the love that surrounds you, supports you, and lives within you. You are beautiful, you are worthy, and you are ready for miracles. And it all begins with these 3 simple words: I approve of myself. Go now with my blessing and my love, knowing that as you practice approving of yourself, you're not only transforming your own life, but contributing to the healing of our entire world. When you love yourself, you give others permission to love themselves too. And that, my dear ones, is perhaps the greatest miracle of all.